Welcome back, I'm Maverick and today's topic will be all about Build To Order or BTO flats. So, what are they? Are you eligible? And how do you apply for one? So before we get into the nitty-gritty, a brief history about BTO. So almost every Singaporean who plans to settle down with their significant other would have considered getting a BTO flat. But what exactly is a BTO flat? So 3 decades ago, in the mid-1990s, the property market was booming and there was a high demand for new flats, leading HDB to build more of them. When the economy crashed in 1997, the demand for these flats plummeted and HDB was left with over 30,000 unsold flats, which is unheard of in today's property market. So this led to HDB launching the BTO system in April 2001, which replaced the registration of flat system entirely. So HDBs are the most basic but at the same time complex housing type in Singapore due to the many rules and regulations in place in the HDB market. I'll try to cover as much as possible, but if you still have questions, please leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer them. So BTO flats are launched every quarter with 2,000 to 4,000 flats available at each selection. Most of the time, there's a mix of mature and non-mature estates. The flats range from 2-room flexi up to 5-room and some offering 3-generation flats. So before you decide on which project you should apply for, you need to make sure that you are eligible for BTO. Firstly, you need to apply for BTO under one of these schemes. The public scheme as a family nucleus, fiancé scheme, or the orphans scheme. At least one of the applicants must be Singaporean, and if there is another applicant or an essential occupier, that person needs to be either a Singaporean citizen or a permanent resident. All applicants and essential occupiers also have to be at least 21 years of age, and there's an income ceiling of $7,000, $14,000 or $21,000 depending on the flat that you are applying for. All applicants and essential occupiers must also not own any properties in Singapore or overseas, and have not disposed of any within the last 30 months. Applicants must also not have benefited from a subsidized housing from HDB before, or have only bought one subsidized housing. So essentially, you can only apply for BTO with a maximum of 2 times. So the first time you're applying a BTO, you're considered a first timer, and the second time you are a second timer. However, if you have benefited from a subsidized housing, so if you've bought a resale flat and used government grants to buy the flat, you are considered a second timer if you're applying for a BTO again. So if you're not planning to get married or if your spouse isn't Singaporean, there are a few other schemes, but you're limited to applying only for 2-room flexi flats. There is the Single Singapore Citizen Scheme, where you need to be single and at least 35 years of age, and the Non-Citizen Spouse Scheme, where your spouse is not a Singaporean or PR, but must hold a valid visit or work pass at the time of application. And lastly, you have the Joint Single Scheme, where 3 other single co-applicants apply for the same flat. So BTO projects are announced around 6 months before their launch, and there are 4 launches every year. So once you see that there is a launch area that interests you, take note of the project and the month of the launch. Once the projects have been launched, you are given 1 week to ballot before the window closes. To ballot for a BTO flat, you need to head down to the HDB portal, where you'll see all the projects that are up for the exercise, and pay HDB $10 to process your application. There are also a few priority schemes that you can apply under to increase your chances of getting a queue number as a first-time applicant. So the priority schemes are the Parenthood Priority Scheme, the Multi-Generation Priority Scheme, the Married Child Priority Scheme, the Third Child Priority Scheme, and the Tenants Priority Scheme. So the schemes and their rules will be flashed on the screen, so if you want, you can pause the video to read up about them. If not, I'll link the HDB website in the description below. Okay, but before you ballot, it's better to take a look at the specifics of the project. Also note that if there are 2 or more projects in the district, the ballots are combined. So for example, if there are 2 projects in Hougang like the previous launch, You can only apply for Hougang itself and not the individual projects. So if there's one project that's more favoured than the other, the people with the earlier queue numbers are probably going to vie for that project instead of the other one. Let's take a look at how you should analyze a project. So the first thing you need to look at is where the project is located. So look for the district, where is the nearest MRT station, how close it is to amenities like coffee shops, hawker centres, shopping centres, and how well the roads are connected, and whether there are any schools nearby. So as long as the location is somewhere you don't mind living in, you can definitely consider the project. You can also find out if the project has any unique features like a sky garden or childcare center integrated in the project with the site map that is on the BTO launch website. So the next thing you should look out for is the availability of units. So some projects come with 4-room, 5-room, 3-room flats as standard, but some only come with 4-room flats, or some only 2-room flexis, and some without 5-room flats. So you need to make sure that the project has the room type that you are looking for. Another thing you should look out for is the layouts of the units. So most units have the standard BTO layouts, but there are units in certain projects that are more unique, with some units including a balcony. Some come with a home shelter in the middle of the house, which prevents you from creating an open concept kitchen. And some units have dumbbell layouts with the rooms at each corner of the house. So it's always good to make sure that you are okay with the layout of the flat before applying for the project. Also take a look at the optional component scheme that HDB offers. So if you're okay with the flooring and fittings that HDB provides you in the optional component scheme, you can save quite a bit of money by opting for them. So the next thing you should know is how much can you actually afford. You don't want to be applying for a flat only to realize that you won't be able to afford taking the loan and getting your application rejected. You should make sure that you are able to afford the unit you're applying for. So this is an example of how you can calculate how much you need to earn to apply for a flat at a certain price. Let's say you're vying for the most expensive unit in the Kent Heights project, which is a $660,000 4-room flat, and planning to take a 25-year loan from HDB. You will need to fork out $2,000 for the option to purchase when you head down to HDB to select your unit. Your option fee varies actually, because if you are looking for a 2-room flexi flat, you only need to fork out $500. If it's a 3-room flat, you only need to fork out $1,000, and anything above that, you need to fork out $2,000. So when it's time to exercise your option, you need to fork out a 5% down payment of $33,000, buyer stamp duty of $14,400, and also conveyancing fees of $408.60, less the option fee that you paid before, which you can pay using CPF or cash. So if you want to know how the buyer stamp duty and conveyancing fees are calculated, here is a table. If you think you can't afford this, don't worry, because you'll most likely qualify for the enhanced housing grant. So note that if you qualify for the enhanced housing grant, the money will be deposited into your CPF account, which you can use to offset this amount. So upon collecting your keys 3 to 5 years later, you have to pay HDB the remaining 5% down payment of $33,000 in CPF or cash, and the remaining $594,000, which is 90% of the unit price, will be paid in monthly mortgages. This will amount to $2,695 per month, taking the HDB interest rate of 2.6%, and can be paid using either CPF or cash. Note that according to the current mortgage servicing ratio of 30%, meaning you can only use up to 30% of your income to service your HDB loan, you will need to be earning at least $8,984 of combined income per month when HDB assesses your income again prior to your key collection. So just a tip, if you have shortlisted a few projects that you might be interested in, it's best to wait till the last day to send your application in, since you can view the current application rates and choose the one with the lowest rates to maximize your chances of getting a flat. So queue numbers are given out to 300% of the available units. So taking the Kallang Whampoa BTO in November for example, if you applied for a 4-room flat, there are a total of 276 available units, meaning that the last queue number that HDB will be giving out will be 828. If you are lucky enough to get a queue number, HDB will inform you when you should be heading down to HDB Hub to select your unit, 2 weeks before your actual appointment date. And this process will continue until all the units are taken up. So before heading down for your appointment, you will need to first apply for a home loan eligibility letter from HDB and prepare documents like your CPF statements, pay slips, or sometimes graduation cert and transcript if you've just graduated from university. So after you have selected your unit, you will be asked to pay the option fee of either $500, $1,000 or $2,000. So after 6 to 9 months, you would have received information on how much enhanced housing grant you qualify for, and subsequently be asked to go down for your second appointment to pay the 5% down payment to exercise the option, your buyer's stamp duty and conveyancing fees. And when it's time to collect your keys, HDB will collect the remaining 5% down payment from you. So 3 to 5 years later, when you get your flat, a lot of people will be tempted to start renovating right away, but you are advised to do a defects check of your house before you do so. This can save you from potential headaches down the road. So if you're not sure of how to do a defects check, Stacked Homes actually did a video on it. I'll link it in the description below so you can check it out. So congratulations, you are now a proud owner of your own HDB home. So before I end this video, there is actually another tip that I want to give you guys. So if you're someone who sees real estate as a form of investment or asset progression, something that you can do is when you're applying for your HDB, you can apply as one applicant and one essential occupier instead of applying as 2 applicants. This will have a much bigger financial burden on the single applicant, but this allows you to invest in private properties while still holding on to your HDB. So how this works is, after your HDB has MOP'd, your essential occupier can buy a private property of their own without paying the additional buyer's stamp duty. So what you can do is to rent out your HDB while staying in your private property. So if you like this video, please do like and subscribe and share it with your friends who are looking to apply for a BTO. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you. Bye.